Hey guys, a good afternoon in Melbourne. It's just past, just on lunchtime here in Perth. We flew across, got up at 4:30 a.m. this morning and flew all the way across 4-hour flight to Perth. So I'm coming to you from WA, that's why the 9 a.m. Melbourne time morning live with Nat didn't happen this morning. So I thought, why not come on anyway and do my half an hour for you guys. So today, being fitting, that I wanted to talk about, the 3 key things that you need to consider before you take your business on the road. I always like to do a road trip related or national tour related lives when I'm in the midst of it, because it prompts ideas and different, aspects of what I've had to consider over the years. So I've been on the road now for coming up, this is probably the 6th year, so coming up to 9 years total in business, and the 6th year of doing national tours and going to all the major cities around Australia. Of course, we went to the US a couple of times last year and the year before. We went to the UAE and have done other business in a couple of other countries. So there's a thing or two that I have learned about traveling and what are the essential things that you need to consider when you are wanting to do take your business national or international. And so each of these 3 key areas has also 3 subtopics that you can you need to think about in terms of how you are going to undertake the expansion of your business. And I have to say, taking your business beyond your local city and state can be risky. It can be scary because a lot of the time we're able to physically build our networks within our cities and areas and states, but when it comes to going to different states, flying across, you have and calculate. So I'm going to talk about 3 key areas, and these 3 key areas are, first of all, your business. So where it's at, are you ready? And then the second thing is support. Who is going to support you on the journey, and how will you make it happen? Because I have to say, the first 4 out of 6 years on the road, I was completely traveling by myself, and my husband was at home with our kids, while the last 18 months he's been on the road with me. And the third thing I want you to think about is you. How will you be able to maintain the energy, stamina, and the extra logistics that come with going interstate or international for your business? Okay, so you're going to have to learn to be a really, really smart packer. And because sometimes, in my business, I actually require 85% of my luggage to be business-related items and books and products, and 15% to be just my own personal stuff. So pretty much I get a couple of outfits for casual, and I get a couple of dresses, or depending how many events I'm presenting at, and that's pretty much it. I just have to make do with that. So if you're watching this recording later on, just obviously post any questions or comments. I always get back to everybody, and I hope you enjoy today's call. So let's get into it. I've got them here in front of me. I think I'll tackle the you one last. Let's talk about the business first. So the first key aspect to consider, whether you're ready to take your business on the road, is where is your business at, okay? Because some people can think that, I want to take my business national and international, but often what I have seen from my own personal experience and watching some business owners around me, it always starts at that local level, where, you're in your local community, the next 3 or 4 suburbs around you, and then you start, maybe reaching out to more people through social media, and slowly your reach tends to expand, wider and wider and wider until you become international and global. So where is your business at, considering, have you at least made $10,000 in your niche, because you want to have a viable product and business that's going to be able to take a few risks, so that if things don't turn out quite as well, because usually they say the first few trips that you make to different locations or even international, generally most people expect, or the expectation is that you will lose some money due to those activities being, most of all, advertising, most people wouldn't know you in that new area or state or country. So therefore, you most likely will spend double, if not triple, quadruple the amount of spend than you do, say, in your local area. So it depends how much brand awareness people have had of you, in your local area versus interstate. So where is your business at? So don't jump the gun. Sometimes people can try to skip too many steps and go, oh, this looks awesome, it's amazing for me, always looking out, the grass is always greener on the other side, or maybe into another city, but it's not the truth. Make your business viable and profitable within your own state, within your own city, before you start taking drastic leaps of faith into other places, unless, of course, you have got the cash flow to be able to make peace with the fact that you might lose some money along the way to gain that brand awareness and PR for your business. So that was one key aspect within the business aspect of what we're talking about today. And so the next one is, how will you generate leads and marketing when it comes to expanding your business? So being an event-based business, my key things is, how do I get bums on seats? How do I get constantly people in my rooms in cities I have no networking? Cities where I have, I now do, because of course I've got local authors, because I've come here now 5 or 6 years in a row. Of course, I've got people who I bump into all the time, or they come back and support me. And that's another point we're going to talk about later. But how will you get bums on seats and your marketing up and running in those other cities, and what will you go there to promote or give people samples of, tasters of, before they obviously engage you to work with you in a full way. So it's really worthwhile to make these trips to other cities and states and countries, because the power of face-to-face and being physically with someone in a room is second to none. The relationships are built a lot faster, and therefore your business expands and grows a lot more rapidly. So really, really important to figure out, how am I going to get bums on seats? Hey, Busha, I'm coming to Adelaide, Valentine's Day. We're doing the event this time, so in Perth today. So bums on seats, marketing, the things that you need to figure out. And then very importantly is knowing your numbers. Okay, so this is all under the business category, right? The 3 key aspects of taking your business on the road. One we talked about, has your business become viable and monetized and at least made 10 grand into it, and exhausted the local area and local networks in terms of who your clients are. Secondly, how will you get, new leads or bums on seats and marketing and all that sort of stuff going. And the third thing is knowing your numbers. So we've got this massive spreadsheet. Whenever we invest money in our marketing of our business, we document, even to the point of, how much did it cost us to stay in the accommodation, what was the venue, how much did we spend on food, what do we spend on flights, what do we spend on Facebook advertising, what was our return on investment, how many products did we sell. So all of that just gets completely, mapped out as each event finishes, and at the end of the year we can really see where we were more successful, where we weren't, is it worthwhile going to certain places and not others. And all of those lessons you keep refining year after year after year until it becomes really, really a well-oiled machine as it is now. And we feel like we have a really amazing tour set up for 2019. So that's the number one key aspect, is is your business at. Don't rush to hey, Megan, don't rush too fast to get it expanded. It's okay. What they say, if something climbs up so high, it can crash very quickly down. And being consistent, just being patient through each of the stages of where you're at is super, super important. All right, so let's talk about key aspect number 2 when it comes to taking your business on the road, and that is support. Who is supporting you? Because you are most likely going to have to leave your family, right? Who will be left back home if you do have children, to look after the children? And this is why I said, Stuart was the person who was left behind for the first 4 years when I hit the road, so that I can do what I could do. And I was blessed enough to have amazing relationships with my clients who lived in those cities. And therefore, my second point within this is, how will you have some crew, especially if you're running an event-based business, you know, and not just crew, but awesome people who would give you an amazing testimonial in the room and support you with the logistics of the event. So I have to say, if I had not had my previous authors and clients come through and help out at those workshops when I was on the road completely alone, and even nowadays as our events have gotten bigger, even so that Stuart is on the road with me, it isn't enough. We love them and we enjoy catching up each and every time, which means the relationships get built stronger and stronger and stronger, and the bonds, and it kind of becomes this that we do with them, which means we maintain relationships over the long period, that builds the business even further through word of mouth and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really important, you know, and if you don't have a partner like I do to take on the road, you know, do you have or do you need to hire someone who is going to be your roadie with you to come on the road and actually support you, you know, along the way? Because doing it all yourself, as much as, you know, you might think you can do it in the early days, I certainly thought I could handle events of 10 to 15 people. But once the events got over 20, 25, 30, the other day in Melbourne, we had 40, even we were worried, just 3 of us with Viv there, that we weren't going to be able to, you know, just be able to talk to everybody and build that rapport. So support is super important. So who will you take on the road with you? What, where and how will you find crew? And of course, again, early days didn't have any crew, but the more and more I came back to the cities, I always like to keep reconnecting and staying in touch with some key people that I know from cities, even to the point a lot of my friends in the other cities or authors do stock a couple of boxes or 1 or 2 boxes of my books. So next time I come around, I don't need to be posting them. They basically bring it along to the event, and I'm able to have enough stock in all different cities. And I do vice versa that for some people who come to Melbourne. So the third thing about support is the venues or the places that you will need to go back to time and time again. You know, how are you building relationships with them, and what is your loyalty around coming back to the same place? So this particular place we're coming back to right now, we were here 6 months ago. Prior to that, we had another venue we went to 3 or 4 times. The reason we change venues sometimes, it's more so to do like with parking. Like our last venue didn't have very good parking. It was an awesome venue, but unfortunately it wasn't the ideal setting to the way we needed to execute the event with ease. Whereas this current venue is also central, has ample free parking, and it's big enough and it's well set up, and the staff are absolutely amazing. So Stuart's role is always to book our venues and to build amazing relationships with venue managers, and to keep it within the budget. Because again, if you're running and promoting your event on the road or interstate, you have to be mindful of your budget, because a lot of the time when you're promoting your business, you will lose at that front end, but you will hopefully win at the back end, which means, you know, every time we walk into a room, we're a few $1,000s in the minus, if you like to think about it in that way. So yes, of course, we'd love a result. We're never attached to what result we get, but we also know the risk that we take are kind of calculated risks, because we know our numbers. We know what's going to happen. And yes, sometimes we might do nothing, and other times we might smash it, and one event makes up for 3. So that's really key, to really dissect everything. Just be frugal in terms of where it is, and then if something's out of our budget, and like a lot of the time venues can change ownership or managers, and double their prices, right? Which is what happened with a couple of cities we normally go to here in Australia, and they doubled the prices, which kind of went out of our budget. And even though we explained we had come back there many times before, that was their new policy, and that was cool. If people are not open to negotiating, there's so many venues out there. You just need to invest a little bit of time to find and then build the new relationships. And sometimes it's also a good thing to do to switch venues, because you might go to a different area and you might figure out that there is something better. But it's good to know which are the hard work is only the hardest work you're going to do is the first time you're doing it for the very first time. After that, you can actually be very repetitive in what you're doing because you know exactly. And you know what, guys, it's actually all about consistency and repetition. People want to know, and people love consistency. They want to see that you're going to be around, that you're going to return, that you're not just this 5-minute thing that's just going to disappear and never to be heard of again. Like the people who had their 15 minutes of fame or their one song as an artist, and then you never heard from them again. The best thing and the most sustainable thing is when you see artists come out with albums for Elton John, they said 50 years he's been in the in the business and touring. And I was thinking about touring and people who do it, obviously as singers and performers. And I go, well, we're kind of the same. We're just doing a different kind of performance through our events. All right, and the third thing I want to talk about, and it boils all the way back down to you. And that is taking your business on the road requires another level of energy, right? Another level of, obviously when you're home, you might jump in a car and get somewhere, but there's a kind of like a million and one things and checklists in your head to take care of when you're packing to go somewhere to do your business thing, but you also got to look after yourself as well. So Stuart and I have been doing this intermittent fasting since the start of the year, which is going absolutely amazing. And so we were trying to work out when is the time, to start eating according to Melbourne time, because Perth is 3 hours behind. And we worked out that we were not going to eat at all on the plane on the 4-hour trip, and that as soon as we got here, we were going to go eat and then eat one more time at 3:30 Perth time, so that we fit into our 8-hour block. And then we're talking about, so we were like planning 4 days ahead. So there's 3 key aspects here, and that is, your exercise, your eating or nutrition, and your rest, right? Because it's really, really, really exhausting. When I get home, like on Thursday night after Adelaide, I'm going to be exhausted, right? And I'm going to want to spend a whole day just on the couch chilling out and all that, because I'll not just the pure aspect of taking the energy to travel, but also being surrounded by people, needing to perform, if you like, speak and give lots of answers and all that sort of stuff puts a lot of it just takes up a lot of headspace. So yes, the body is tired because it's been on planes and all that kind of stuff, but also the mind gets really, really exhausted. So those are the things that I have been refining year after year. 6 years on the road does not it was really messy in the beginning, and then after about 2 years I decided I was going to hire a personal trainer, and now I've been doing 4 times a week exercise for the last 3.5 years, and figuring out how to eat, where to eat, and finding my local spots so that I'm making the easy choices, because when you're super tired, guess what you're going to do? You're going to go for the easiest choice, because you might be super hungry as well, because you've done a lot of work and all that sort of stuff. And of course, sleep. So tonight we said, okay, we're not going to go to bed any later than 9 p.m. because that's midnight in Melbourne. If we know we're going to get up early. That's the good thing about coming to Perth. You get up super early because they're 3 hours behind from Melbourne. So you have no issue starting your event in the morning. So these are, as much as, people go, how do you do what you do? Well, there's a lot of things that need to be considered, thought of, checklisted, put together. But as you do it more and more, you will refine how you do it, what's the right thing for you, and find a routine. So when Stuart started coming on the road with me officially January last year, when we went to Dubai for the first time, in the first 3 or 4 months, we were nearly going to kill each other. not in a bad way, but we were like, I had a certain routine when I go on my trips, and he needed to, kind of figure out what his routine was and how that all fitted in and how I like things in rooms and vice versa. And now we just walk into a place and we know what we're doing. We're independent of each other, and we keep talking and planning ahead of, like, half a day ahead, what's going on, when are we getting up in the morning, what time do we want to be at breakfast, and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really about refinement, tweaking, and figuring out how you can stay healthy along the way. Because if you don't operate, of course, you won't end up selling, you won't end up promoting, you will come home exhausted and sad and tired because you just weren't at your best. So you just have to do it. It's a little bit of pain in planning, and obviously doing some exercise and stuff while you're away in weird, odd hotel rooms. But get someone to show you what you can do. I personally do my 7-minute workout with my app when I'm on the road, just to keep me moving and exercising and keeping all my energy levels. And I do get up earlier, and again, I'll fit in a meditation as well, so that all day I'm just really focused and I'm here to do a job. And when I know this is only for a short burst period of time, and that at the other end I'll be, for example, Saturday, Sunday, rest, pretty much, a period of rest, and then we've got retreat the following weekend. We do have an intense period of 6 to 8 weeks, twice a year, but that's okay. We know that that's intense, and then the other time is just maintenance, delivery, or holidays. So I trust you guys have enjoyed and gotten some value out of today. It was totally unprepared. I said I need to talk about what I kind of do when I rock up. And by the way, as soon as I walk into a hotel room, first thing I do, I don't even sit down. I unpack, I put all my toiletries out, I put my clothes, hang everything. I actually move in, and it literally takes me 6 minutes because as I said to you, I take like 5-6 pieces of clothes, so it doesn't take a lot of time to set. Actually, it takes me longer to set up my toiletries and hair stuff. But I literally walk in, I make myself at home. Doesn't matter if I'm staying here for one night or longer. I always fully properly unpack, because I travel a lot, so therefore I want to feel like I'm at home when I'm not at home. Thank you, Busha. I'm glad that you enjoyed this live. And guys, sorry that today wasn't at our normal time. Next week, yes, we should be back to normal, because it's I'm back home on the Monday, and it'll be Melbourne time 9 a.m. I'm going to do a little quick live into my secret group with my authors, as I normally do after this one. And if you have any questions or comments, because I know a lot of people are probably in the middle of their work or whatever they're doing throughout the day, and they're not used to having me at this time, then comments, questions, just post them up below, or let me know what you thought. What was one of your key aha moments or learnings or actions that you think, and how does this relate to your business? All right, have an awesome day. Go smash out that week. And we are already set up downstairs for the Perth event, so which means we can sleep in a little bit more, just plug in the technology in the morning. We've got 3 of our gorgeous authors coming to support us, and one dropping off some books I can pre-sign tonight. And then off we fly to Adelaide, the day after. So it's like kind of a 4-day trip, and back home to the kiddies for the weekend. Have an awesome week, guys. Bye.